Why Caribbean governments fear Vybz Kartel. Vybz Kartel is more than just a dancehall artist, he's a cultural force. With lyrics that range from raw street stories to controversial social commentary, he commands influence in ways few entertainers in the Caribbean ever have. But that power has come with resistance. Across several Caribbean nations, including Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, governments and officials have attempted to restrict or regulate his presence, whether through concert bans, song censorship, or bureaucratic red tape. In 2025 alone, we are seeing two major controversies erupt. One in Trinidad and Tobago, where Kartel's performance was cancelled over payment issues and political pressure, and another in Guyana, where a government body called for one of his songs to be banned outright. These aren't isolated incidents. They follow a long pattern of state discomfort with Kartel's messaging, persona, and magnetic pull over youth audiences. Vybz Kartel, born Adidja Palmer, is no longer behind bars. After 13 years in prison, his 2014 murder conviction was overturned in March 2024 due to juror misconduct, and the Jamaican Court of Appeal declined a retrial, leading to his release on July 31, 2024. Now a free man, Kartel has returned to the stage with renewed vigor, announcing his Worl Boss tour for 2025, which includes performances in Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, the United States, and several European countries. Despite his freedom, Kartel's influence continues to unsettle some Caribbean governments, leading to concert cancellations and calls for censorship, highlighting the enduring tension between his artistry and political authorities. Vybz Kartel's reach goes far beyond the dancehall scene. His words, style, slang, and social critiques ripple through Caribbean societies. Young people across the region mimic his speech, quote his lyrics, and treat his opinions like scripture. To many in power, that's a problem, because when Kartel speaks, people listen. Even while imprisoned, Kartel managed to release music consistently, rack up millions of streams, and dominate the streets. In Guyana, for example, despite a prior boycott in 2011, the government allowed him to return in 2025, but not without resistance. The Ethnic Relations Commission labeled one of his songs, Good Like Jesus, as blasphemous and called for it to be banned. Why such intensity? Because officials recognize that his voice still holds power, especially in places where religion, politics, and youth culture intersect. In Trinidad and Tobago, Kartel's 2025 performance was cancelled not just due to money, but due to mounting political pressure. Defense Minister Wayne Sturge suggested age restrictions and even censorship of certain songs. It's a pattern. The state isn't just wary of Kartel the man, they're nervous about Kartel the symbol. He represents unfiltered expression, anti-establishment messaging, and a mirror to the region's underbelly. Many Caribbean governments see Kartel's lyrics as more than just entertainment. They see them as destabilizing. Kartel doesn't sugarcoat life in the ghetto. He talks about poverty, violence, sexuality, betrayal, and corruption in ways that make politicians uncomfortable. In a region where image and respectability politics dominate, his raw approach cuts deep. His critics accuse him of glorifying crime and objectifying women. But his supporters argue that he's simply telling the truth, truths the elite would rather ignore. That tension has caused governments to react with bans and censorship. Whether it's banning his songs from airplay or discouraging events that feature him, Caribbean leaders have shown a persistent desire to control his narrative. In many ways, it's not Kartel's music that scares them, it's what it reveals. His work shines a spotlight on failed policies, broken communities, and systemic inequalities. When thousands chant his lyrics at a concert or share his verses online, it's not just a party, it's a protest. And to those in charge, that's dangerous. One of the main reasons governments fear Kartel is his impact on young people. Across Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, and beyond, his music is the soundtrack of the youth. From schoolyards to dance halls, his influence shapes speech, fashion, and even values. This power, though intangible, is undeniably real, and governments don't know how to contain it. Critics often blame Kartel for promoting moral decay, but that argument overlooks the larger picture. Kartel rose to prominence because he spoke to the frustrations of a generation left behind. Unemployment, crime, and social alienation weren't created by Kartel, they were merely exposed by him. Still, many politicians prefer to blame the messenger than fix the message. Efforts to ban or restrict Kartel's performances often backfire. Instead of silencing him, they amplify his legend. When Trinidad's festival organizers struggled with Kartel's contract due to financial regulations, fans cried foul. When Guyana's ERC condemned his lyrics, interest in the song surged. The harder they try to push him out, the louder his presence becomes. Vybz Kartel is now a free man and is making a comeback that many did not expect. He represents something much bigger than dancehall. He represents the untamed spirit of a people who refuse to be silenced. That's what governments fear most. Not the man, but the movement. As Caribbean leaders wrestle with rising youth unrest, political disillusionment, and cultural shifts, Kartel stands at the center of it all. He's a symbol of rebellion, identity, and power, the kind of power that can't be legislated away. His music challenges authority, and his mere presence sparks debate, division, and sometimes even unity. Whether loved or hated, one thing is certain: Vybz Kartel can't be ignored. And in a region where silence often equals control, Kartel's unapologetic voice is a disruption the status quo just can't handle.